Hey guys, it's Raul again, and today I'll be sharing with you the books that I did not finish in 2020. So throughout the years, I've kind of come to the realization that if I try pushing myself through a book that I'm not enjoying or not connecting with, at that moment that I get into a reading slump, and I told myself this year that I wasn't going to get into reading slumps, I wasn't going to push myself to read books that I wasn't really feeling at the time or not really in the mood. So a lot of these books I picked up and put down for whatever reason they may be. A lot of these I'm actually thinking about revisiting at one point, so I'm not completely just giving up on a lot of these books. I am going to revisit them, but for some reason at the time that I picked them up, whether it was the physical copy or the audiobook version of it, I just for some reason wasn't feeling it, wasn't in the mood to read that genre, so I ended up putting those down. So this list is in no particular order because I don't remember when I DNF'd a lot of these, I just remember that they were in 2020. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. The first book I have on this list is Playing with Fire by Tess Gerritsen. This is one that I recently DNF'd and one that I don't think I'm going to be revisiting. This book follows a mother who is a violinist and is out in, I believe it's Paris, and while she's there, she finds a piece of music that she brings back home with her, and when she starts playing it, her child starts reacting in very disturbing and violent ways because of this musical piece. Now this book, one reason why I'm DNFing it is because it moves way too quickly. Within the first 35 pages, the mother already knows that there's something wrong with this music. The daughter has already committed two kind of violent acts, and it just moves way too quickly, and I feel like a lot of this book is just rushing through this main focus to then give us tons and tons of backstory on where this piece came from, why it's in existence, what's going on with it, and I felt like I wanted something that was, yes, going to be faster paced, but was going to focus more on the mom and the daughter and slowly building up those violent acts that the daughter is committing and kind of the mystery surrounding, what the daughter is doing. But she quickly figured this out at the, like I said, within the first 35 pages, and it was just, I don't know, for some reason I just wasn't enjoying it, wasn't really loving the writing, so I had to put this down, and this was one that I'm not really going to pick up again. I just wasn't liking this one at all. Next book on my DNF list, and one that I don't think I'm going to be picking up again, is You Only Love Me When I'm Suffering by John Lupin. These are poems. Some of them were okay. I got about halfway through and just really wasn't loving the writing style or the poetry, so I ended up putting this one down. I grabbed this at a bargain bin at Barnes & Noble and thought I needed some more poetry, but just didn't really enjoy this one. The next book on this DNF list is another one that I don't think I'm going to complete, and that is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. This was just, I don't know, I just wasn't really feeling this one. It was following way too many unlikable characters, and I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood. I just didn't really like the characters a lot. Wasn't really enjoying the plot. I didn't really know what was going on either. So I might just end up giving the adaptation a chance to see if that's a little bit better than the book. And then if I end up really enjoying the adaptation, I might go back to the book, who knows, but as of right now, I have no plans on finishing this one. The next book on this list is The Fall by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. This is the second book in the Strain trilogy. I really loved the first book when I read it a couple of years ago, and just for some reason wasn't feeling this book at all. This is about vampires in New York City, and they're overtaking everything, and there's just this huge vampire apocalypse, and I loved the first one. Again, I don't know what happened with the second one when I started listening to it on audiobook, but I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if I just waited too long between book 1 and 2, but for some reason I just wasn't feeling it, and I feel bad because I don't really want to finish this at all, even though I really enjoy vampires and I love the concept of it, but for some reason I just couldn't get into it. I still even have the bookmark inside. I got about 93 pages in, and just, I don't know, I just wasn't feeling this one, wasn't enjoying it, so I had to put it down. The next book on this list is Tsunami by Natalie Kurchatnik. This is the book that I was sent for review a while ago. I was really looking forward to reading this book. I mean, it's got a gorgeous cover. It had a pretty interesting synopsis, but it is a translated work, and I think that's the issue with this one that I had for me. I don't know if it was just the translation, but I felt myself really slugging through this one. It was just hard for me as far as the translation went. The writing just wasn't flowing, and I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to pick this one up again. I really feel bad because again, I was sent this book for review, but for some reason, I don't know, I just wasn't connecting with the translation. It was just very sluggish. So I'll try it again at some point probably because I really want to give this book a shot, but we'll see. But if I end up picking it up and having the same issue, I'm probably just going to end up putting this one down permanently. The next book on this list is The Perfectionist by Sarah Shepard. I tried reading this one, I believe it was during March Mystery Madness back at the beginning of the year, and for some reason this book just felt very juvenile, very childish, and I feel like I have slowly moved away from kind of like the younger mysteries. I mean, I still really love YA mysteries, but this one felt very, very young. There were a lot of issues going on between the high school kids that just felt very juvenile. I just wasn't connecting with it at all. Wasn't really loving the mystery. My wife actually tried picking this up as well, and she got about halfway through and just didn't finish it either. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to be finishing this series either. Next book on my list is The New Dead, which is a zombie short story anthology. I tried picking up this book a couple of months ago recently, and I read the first 2 or 3 short stories. I really loved the first one, but then the farther I got into the other short stories, I just liked them less and less. And just, I don't know if I've just also moved away from the whole zombie thing. I know zombies were a huge thing a while ago, and just recently, I'm not really feeling the zombie vibe. I mean, I even stopped watching Walking Dead a couple years ago too. So I don't know. This is a book that I don't know if I should keep pushing myself through and just trying to read a couple of short stories here and there just to get a feel for some of the other authors that I'm interested in reading. I mean, I might end up just doing that, just reading the short stories of the authors that I'm interested in. But yeah, for some reason I put this one down, wasn't really feeling the whole zombie thing at the time, so I don't know if I'm going to end up continuing with this one at all. The next book, maybe a little bit controversial, but I know it's definitely one that I'm not going to finish, and that is Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second time that I've tried to read this book and continue on with the series. I've read the first book twice. I read it physically and listened to it on audiobook. I did the same thing with this one, and for some reason I just couldn't get through it. I wasn't feeling the story. I wasn't feeling the characters. I know it's a very popular series here in BookTube, or at least it was years ago when it first came out, but I just couldn't get through it. My wife just recently finished this trilogy a couple months back, and she said that the third book was somewhat disappointing. She didn't really enjoy it that much, and I don't know if I want to push myself through this series knowing that the ending is not going to be as satisfactory as I would want it to be, so I don't think I'm going to finish this series. I definitely ended up putting this down for the second time and probably final time. The next book is one that I know I am definitely going to read. I had this one on audiobook. The audiobook ended up expiring and I couldn't finish it, but I was really enjoying it, and that is Black Enough, a short story anthology. I listened to the first 2 stories in the audiobook version of it, really loved it, but again, the audiobook expired. Because of COVID, we are all working from home now, so I wasn't really doing my regular work commute where I normally listen to all of my audiobooks, so I just ended up not finishing this one, but this is one that I am absolutely going to finish it because I was really enjoying what I had read so far, and I feel like this is a book that I need to finish reading. I feel like it's a very important one, so definitely going to finish this one. The next book is another one that I know I am definitely going to pick up and finish, but I don't think I'm going to pick up the audiobook. I was listening to this one on audiobook, wasn't really feeling the audiobook, so I'm definitely just going to pick up the physical form, and that is Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I absolutely loved her first novel, so I know that I'm going to love this one. It was in my 5-star predictions video that I did last year, and this is one that I really, really want to read, but I think I'm going to take my time with this one on physical copy instead of trying to listen to the audiobook, because for some reason I just wasn't getting into the audiobook at the time, so I just returned it to the library. Definitely going to pick this one up in physical form instead. The next book is one that is a little bit disappointing to me, and it hits me very hard, but it is one that I just for some reason could not finish. I don't know why, and that is Certain Dark Things by C. Ramona Garcia. I really wanted to love this one. I hyped it up in my head so much, and I got about 160 pages or so in. I was enjoying it, but for some reason I wasn't loving it as much as I wanted it to. There were other books that I really wanted to read instead of this one. For some reason, it was just hard for me to sit down every day and try and get through this one. I don't know what it was, but I'm definitely going to give this one another shot because this is an author that I really want to read more of. I really want to love this book. I just, for some reason, wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't really connecting with the story or the characters. So I put this one down, but definitely going to pick this up at some point next year. And the next book is one that, again, I picked up on audiobook. The audiobook narrator was making everyone sound very childish. but I'm definitely going to try and pick this one up in physical form and read it that way, and that is The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee. This is a YA trilogy. I own all of the 3 books. It's supposed to be kind of like a dystopian version of Gossip Girl. I really loved Gossip Girl when I watched it, so this is something that is still very interesting to me because it deals with social class and different tiers of social class within this world. So it's definitely something interesting. I just wasn't enjoying the audiobook narrator because they were making everyone sound very childish and very whiny. So I don't know, maybe if I pick this up in physical form and just kind of imagine the characters in my head the way that I think they should sound, it'll end up being a little bit better. But yeah, definitely, I just couldn't stand the audiobook. That's why I ended up putting this one down. The next book is one that I've heard very mixed reviews on. I really want to love it because I just love what it's based off of, and that is The Queens of Inisleer by Tessa Gratton. This is a retelling of King Lear by Shakespeare. I absolutely love King Lear. I read it in school in my Shakespeare class. Absolutely fell in love with it. So this is one that I was super excited about when I first picked it up. I bought this one, I think, on day 1. I picked it up and started reading it right away, but I was at the end of my semester at school, got really busy with like final papers and everything, and ended up putting this one down and then just forgot about it and never finished it. I got about 125 pages or so. I was enjoying the first part of it, but this is one that I need to pick up and finish. I might end up just starting this one over again because it's been about 2 years since I first started it, but I really want to enjoy this one. I really want to read through this one because, again, I love King Lear, and this seems like it's going to be a great retelling or adaptation of it as well. So I'm excited to finish this one. Don't know when I'm going to pick it up, but I want to hopefully pick this one up and finish it very soon. And the last book on this list is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. This is the second book in the Red Queen series. Another one where I picked up the audiobook, wasn't really enjoying it, but at the time that I picked it up as well, I just wasn't in the mood for fantasy. I don't know, I didn't really want to read this one. I really want to continue on with this story. I really want to see what happens. I own all of the books. I really enjoyed Red Queen, regardless of kind of the opinions that people share on that book. But I really love Red Queen, really like that series. I'm really interested to see how this kind of plays out. But again, I picked it up on audiobook, just wasn't really in the mood for fantasy, so I just ended up putting this one down because I didn't want to push myself through and get myself in a slump. So yeah, guys, that is it for all of the books that I DNF'd in 2020. Let me know in the comments below what books you guys DNF'd because I would love to know. Before you go, please give this video a big thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I post videos every Tuesday and Friday. Thank you guys all again for watching, and I will see you all next time.